Hey there, it's the One Boom, and welcome to a short video about the worst argument in the world. And no, this is not my least favorite. This is not an argument that I've had the worst experiences with. This is, by far, the worst argument in the world. The argument is the nutshell argument. It is the act of nutshelling a subject to make yourself sound smarter. It's an ability to bring something up and summarize it all at once. It makes you sound smarter, it makes you sound concise, but in reality all you're doing is listing off the characteristics of something with a negative or positive connotation. Let's give some examples, and let's first apply a context to this video. You are sitting across from somebody and you are going to debate whether Call of Duty is a good first-person shooter. And the person you're arguing with is against Call of Duty, and they are going to use a nutshell argument. This is what it would sound like. If your Call of Duty game is the same, you just go around shooting people till you get your score streak, you call in your score streak, and then you kill people with it, and it's over. Now, a lot of you listening just probably heard an argument you've heard before, or at least a style. The person just nutshelled it. They just listed off, yeah, you kill people, get score streaks, and you kill people with the score streaks. So, what's the problem? All that person just did, across the table from you in this scenario, all that person just did was tell you what the game is, and that he didn't like it. The problem with this nutshell argument is that it can be applied to anything. You can use this argument on anything, and that's not how arguments should go. If you're going to use a style of argument, you have to have different types for different things. For instance, if you're going to argue that Call of Duty is the best game in the world, you maybe can't use the same argument you used last week when you were explaining to your friend that Fruit Punch is the best flavor of Gatorade. You'd have to shake up your strategy. And the important thing in an argument, brief disclaimer, the important thing in an argument is to listen. A lot of people will trap themselves in their own point, or you could just learn something and not be a stuck-up asshole. Another terrible thing about the nutshell argument is that it is hard to argue against, and you're thinking, well, that's good, I should use it then. No, an argument is not a game, and you don't just get to pull out a trump card to make yourself seem smarter. That's not how that should work. It's hard to argue against for all of the wrong reasons. Let me give you an example. If you said, Ian, why don't you like Need for Speed games? I would say, well, all you do is drive around. Well, try to argue that. I mean, of course you could bring up other parts of the game and you'd be right, but I'm right, too. So, where does the argument go from there? Oftentimes somebody will hear that and go, well, I guess he is right, it is just a lot of driving. Of course it's a lot of driving. If I bought a racing game, I would hope it would have a lot of driving. If I bought a first-person shooter, I would hope it has a lot of shooting. So what you have to do to counter this is to separate it from being an argument and turn it into a discussion, which is the way to find out what is right and not who is right, and the way you do that is by asking questions. And then what you do, say, well, what's wrong with that? You say, what is wrong with it just being about driving? Well, why is that boring to you? You could say, well, maybe you just don't like racing games as a genre because of the monotony of just driving around, but that doesn't have anything to do with why Need for Speed is bad or good. You just have to ask questions. That's actually the way I win most of my arguments, and I know you're thinking, nobody wins arguments. You just argue until you guys both get more set in your ways, and then everyone gets mad. I've won arguments just by asking questions and getting people to chase their own tail. If you cannot be questioned on your point, reevaluate your point, and be humble about it when somebody does this to you. You will never fall for this nutshell again. I've seen it in game reviews. For instance, a Fallout 4 review written by somebody, I forget their name, but during the review, he said that Fallout 4 is, at its core, just killing creatures and getting quests. And he went no further than that. He didn't bring up crafting, he didn't bring up settlement building, he didn't build up the exploration and the Easter eggs. He brought up none of that. I'm seeing similar reviews for No Man's Sky, which I don't feel like I should talk about because I haven't played No Man's Sky, but I'm seeing a lot of all the game is this, all the game is this. And, usually I don't really care for that. Now, Boom isn't perfect. You guys know me. I make mistakes when I talk. I make mistakes when I record. I make audio mistakes. I even make really stupid statements on this channel, and I try to correct them as best as I can. So, where have I ever used the nutshell argument? Well, for zombies and Rainbow Six Siege. So my arguments were this. Rainbow Six Siege is just basically search and destroy with destructible buildings. And my argument for zombies was, you just kill zombies. Obviously, those games have so much more to it. The metas change, the way you do Easter eggs, the step-by-step processes. Obviously, there's so much more to it. But that's the argument I've used for those things. Because, admittedly, and this is, in my opinion, okay, I didn't want to come up with a big opinion, or a big well-thought-out opinion, for everything, and neither should you. The universe does not demand that you have some well thought out, beautifully spoken point about everything on the planet. But if you are going to argue something, don't use my arguments about zombies and Rainbow Six Siege. Don't use people's arguments about Need for Speed or Call of Duty or first-person shooters in general. You don't get to do that. That doesn't work. I'm sorry, if you're going to have a point against Call of Duty, there are hundreds of points to make against Call of Duty. Same points you can make against Battlefield, or Halo, or Counter-Strike. Nothing you love is sacred, nothing you love is perfect. But when people nutshell it, you know they don't actually have an argument. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me do a brief summary or a nutshell of this video. The nutshell argument takes the basic parts of something and lays it out with a negative or positive connotation. It's hard to argue against and can be applied to anything. If you want to defeat somebody using this argument, or you just want to poke holes in it for shits and giggles, ask questions and never stop asking questions. If somebody's main point about Need for Speed is that it just has driving, riddle them with questions. And never fall for this again. You'll see YouTubers do it to sound smart. You'll see review writers. You'll see even me at one point probably make such a statement. But there is a difference between a simple statement like, I don't like zombies because all you do is kill zombies, versus zombies sucks because all you do is kill zombies. There's a difference between a statement and an actual argumentative statement. So don't get on everybody that just says something simplistic. Now, again, the universe does not require you to have a well thought out, well spoken point. So, if you are going to argue with somebody, avoid using these and avoid it when they do it. So, you're probably wondering, well, what argument should I use? If I already used the nutshell argument and it's so bad, what should I do? Well, you might want to take a deep breath, sit on the end of your bed, and think about it. I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye!